Hello, good people. It's me again with more movies. I cannot believe it. I literally just came back from the movie theaters and I genuinely thought to myself, man, movies are so cool. I went by myself to a little matinee showing and I couldn't have been more pleased. You just throw a movie at my face and I'm just a happy boy. With that in mind, I wanted, yet again, to share the movies I've watched recently. Let's get to it. The first film I'm talking about is Eddington. This is the newest installment to the Ari Aster universe. Ari Aster is a fascinating director. With his second film, Midsommar, I at first didn't like it. I was young when I first watched it. However, in later rewatches and viewing the director's cut, I consider that film to be a masterpiece now. With Beau is Afraid, his later film, I didn't really engage with that one as much. A few years later, we have his newest film. And this is a lot more engaging than Beau for sure. This film is a dark satire under the backdrop of a small town during COVID of 2020. This by nature is a political film, and I love that the film is joking several sides, and finding the chaos and confusion of both parties within its runtime. There's crazy cops, and there's also protesters that are in a way just trying to manipulate the protesting, in a way grifting to get what they want. Some people in this film are definitely inspired by the Kyle Rittenhouse situation for sure. The main character we follow is a cop that utilizes the systematic racism and bias to cover up his wrongdoings. The beginning is nicely paced from what I remember, and then a shift in tone happens, which works really well, and it becomes very serious and kind of scary. I was completely on board with that shift. A big theme I really took away from this film is communication. There is so much shouting and yelling and talking, but no one really does a lot of listening. Even though this movie is a bit on the longer side, I really wanted to rewatch it, and I can't wait to. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. The next film I'm discussing is Sorry Baby. This was written, directed, and starred by Eva Victor, and this is definitely something of a passion project for sure. This film follows a person trying to process something bad that has happened to her. First off, the writing felt very genuine and real. The movie was funny and emotional and in a way sad, yet beautiful. The whole film shows moments of the main character trying to find ways to heal. She finds a cat to take care of, a man on the side of the road helps talk to her, and friends all help along the way. The sincerity of the film along with its heart made me extremely emotional. The main character is also very relatable to me in some ways as well. Certain mannerisms and speech patterns feel very much like some people I know, and I sometimes see myself in that as well. As I said earlier, even though it's about trauma, it's still a funny movie that pulls off everything it wants to do. I originally gave this film an 8 out of 10, but after a rewatch, I have it at a 9 out of 10 now. The next film is Final Destination Bloodlines. I'm gonna be so honest, I haven't seen any of the other films, even though I really do. I love that there were visuals as to what was gonna kill the people, and it would set up through the camera work, kinda what might happen. I was told that a lot of them do that, so it's really nothing special apparently, but I enjoyed it nevertheless. It's a very stupid movie that works with friends for sure. I guess the reason I enjoyed my time so much was because I was in a group with friends. The death scenes were awesome also. It was just a fun time, and I definitely wouldn't mind watching the others at some point also. I'm giving this a good 4 out of 10. Next is a bad movie, The Alto Knights. I don't even remember what this movie was about. The majority of the story and dialogue felt like they were just improvising and doing their own thing along the way, on repeat. Like, they'll say the same things over and over within a scene that all has like no substance to it. Hey, I shot Tony. He should have shot Tony more. I should have shot Tony more. Hey, I shot Tony. Hey, I told him to shoot Tony. He shot Tony. It's so annoying. The editing was also very bad. This was just a bad time. I don't even want to say anything else about it. 2 out of 10. The next film I watched was the Hellraiser film that I watched and reviewed a few years ago. What I really found to be outstanding this time around was really the drama of the film. Like, everything is based on and around these characters. A fantastic moment that really stuck with me near the beginning of the film were these hooks that latched into one of the main characters, and then they woke up. The hooks represented what was happening within the story as well as the supernatural element. It was almost like a metaphorical or a thematic visual. All along with interesting character design, acting, and rewarding storytelling, I liked the film very much more this time around. An excellent choice from the director and creatives was the casting of Pinhead's character. The actor they chose is a known trans actor. What's really cool is that the change in morph and gender identity for this character helps transcend the horror elements almost. The ambiguity and non-defined ideas are interesting, as well as redefining certain roles that are for the trans community. Like, a trans person can definitely play this type of role, and it be substantive. The more I think and engage with this film, the more I really like it. I'm gonna give this film an 8 out of 10. The next film I'm talking about is The War of the Worlds, starring Ice Cube. This film has so many things wrong with it that it's kind of impressive and outstanding. From the continuity of time being different with like the clock going back and forth in time. Like if you look at the clock, there'll be like 1 p.m. at one point, 2 minutes later, 11 a.m. Also, the shit Amazon product placement. This film is quite something to see. The CGI and the idea that the government is spying through every single camera, it's all almost like rambling of a Republican lunatic that is shouting anti-government propaganda. All as well as supporting Amazon. I'm just listing reasons why I kind of hate this film. There's nothing to take away from this. It's just a mess the whole way through. I found it to be hilarious the first time, but as I was rethinking and discussing with others, I truly cannot stand this film. It's the worst in every way, all while having the worst type of product placement. I do not recommend watching this film. What really upsets me is the principle of it more than anything else. Like, this film is giving such Republican vibes. I don't know, it just seems damaging and kind of disgusting as a piece of film. I'm giving this a 1 out of 10, obviously. The next film I'm discussing is The Amateur. This is one of those generic slopfests that come out every year. All shot, acted, and written just the same as the others. It's a by-the-books thriller, spy, espionage bullshit that is so unwatchable and forgettable. The more I consume these type of movies, the more annoyed I become with them. They're just time wasters that you just throw on the background that you find on Netflix. It's a nothing experience that I've pretty much forgotten about. Like, I can't say or remember a single thing. I'm giving this a light 3 out of 10, close to a 2. The next movie is Death Becomes Her. I don't remember who exactly directed this, but it was one of those 80s to 90s directors that made like cheesy films. This is said cheese. There is a charm to this film that one can call humorous. However, the charm rubs off pretty quick for me personally. Certain digital animated effects look really bad, and how the creatives decided to present this in the film is very uninteresting. The story definitely had room to be and show something interesting. However, it definitely falls flat for me. By the end, I was thinking this is not a great experience. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. The next film I watched was The Thing by John Carpenter. Is it John Carpenter? I think so. This was closer to Halloween time, so me and my partner watched spooky films, and I was itching to show this off. I remember loving this film years ago, and I absolutely loved it even more this time around. What's so engaging about this film is the lack of information purposefully given to create paranoia. After watching this 3 times, that level of who's who paranoia is still there. So many great choices of what to show and how to tell the story. I genuinely had a wonderful experience. The music is superb. The scene where everyone is in the snow at night as the guy's forming into the monster and starts to scream. The music along with the environment of the scene is so powerful and gripping. I love how the film concludes, and I wouldn't want this film any other way. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 easily. The next film is Oz Perkins' kinda newish film, The Monkey. I feel like I talk about Oz Perkins once every movie roundup. Last time I think it was Longlegs. Did I talk about Longlegs? Don't know. Don't really care. However, the biggest thing I didn't like from this film was the tone. Now, if you don't know me by now, tone and how mixture of tones within a film is utilized is very important to me. A film that knows how to make me laugh and cry is quite powerful, and to successfully do it nevertheless. I truly feel that this film does a bad job understanding what to go for with its tone, and it ends up being kind of boring and forgettable. It tries to do something interesting by the end, but I was so uninvested that I just didn't care. I don't really have too much to say about it. It wasn't funny, it wasn't scary. I kind of don't remember much, and I'm pretty sure I gave this like a 3 out of 10. The next film is Black Swan, directed by Darren Aronofsky. This recently came out in IMAX, and I was fortunate enough to see it near me. Funny enough, I recently learned that all IMAX screens are quite different in sizes. Like, the one near me is actually not a true IMAX theater, and it's one of the smallest IMAX screens around the country. That being said, a new bucket list for me is to attend the Lincoln Square IMAX in New York, which is one of the biggest IMAX screens there is. Like, seeing Dune 3 there would be like a dream. Anyways, back to Black Swan though. This is a classic film from Darren Aronofsky, made in 2010 I believe. The story of obsession over your art to the brink of insanity is portrayed beautifully and with so much tension. The story builds and builds to an explosive ending that is so engaging. Natalie Portman does a phenomenal job playing a shy and docile person that morphs into something completely different entirely. The use of the Black Swan for the scoring is such an interesting and excellent choice. The cinematography and choreography altogether is outstanding. The usage of mirrors to portray ideas was not only visually striking, but it was such an intelligent decision as well. This is one of my favorites from this director for sure, and I am so glad I was able to see this in a theater. I have a list of films in my life that I wish to see in theaters, and funny enough, this was one of them. And to be able to see it in IMAX, it's just a dream come true. I give it a 10 out of 10. The next film I watched was Caught Stealing, also by Darren Aronofsky. This is his newest film from this year that follows a bartender that just is so down on his luck. It's insane. Like, one bad thing happens after another. It's almost so frustrating how much misery this character has to take. The bartender is trusted to watch after a cat. Through that, a plethora of mobsters and police are after him. There was definitely a point in this film when I was watching that I was just like, fuck everything. Because this guy tries to be so by the books for so much of the film, and I just wanted him to succeed at one point, at least once. In saying that, the ending is quite satisfying, and upon a rewatch, I really came to understand how emotional this plot and story was. There's great character building, and I really like where it all comes to be by the end. All the direction and acting is pretty great as well. Some performances are over the top and silly, but I think it really adds to the charm and humor. There's also one scene that I think is in the trailers that shows the buildings, like the rooftops. It is such a great scene and it's a gorgeous shot. Overall, it's not the director's best film, but it's still a solid experience that I could see myself watching again. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. And for the final film that I'm discussing, Him. Now this, I believe, was my most anticipated film of the year, all due to trailers. What the trailers showed and presented was so intriguing and creative. However, this film is a pile of shit. The film is nonsensical and pointless. It tries to be scary, but nothing is believable or interesting. There was no plotting or character development or anything to keep me interested. It was just scenes that could have been in any order or placement. The ending is laughable and horribly done. There's definitely a style that was thought out by a group of people, but like nothing else. This was one of the worst of the year for me, and I'm giving this a 1 out of 10. Anyways, thank you guys for all watching. I hope you all have enjoyed, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.